Like if you were starting again for today, you haven't done the work that you've done, you know what you know, but you didn't have all the connections and all the people. Like how would you start like right now?
Yeah, so I would go, I'm gonna give away my strategies. Okay, so I would go to a group and you can learn these lines, these sayings that help you just.
Is there a pattern that's in common that helps you to architect the funnel or the offers in a way that you know that market's gonna be interested?
What outcomes do they want? And then what limitations do they have? I've found after doing so many, it is a simple process that you can replicate in every market and anyone can grow in that skill set.
What is the journey to go from being a copywriter to doing more for a business, like providing them this consultative, like how do you create that?
It's actually really easy. How I did it is...
The thing that you did to grow the fastest, that changed, because it took you 8 years, but now if you had to do it again, how would you learn faster?
I'll actually share my secret, but my way of knowing if it's a good product, it's never let me down. It's like this one indicator that shows me it. And what that is...
Today we're here with Josh Gavin, the offer kid. You've done like 450, you've architected like 450 offers for business owners in the last year. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of offers. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of copywriters and the people listening to this, they're happy if they work on one offer or two offers within a few months. And you've had the opportunity to like look into that many businesses. I'm like so curious to know what you've learned and like where the industry's going and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And one thing I've noticed, like after doing so many offers in almost every niche imaginable, the only offers I don't touch are markets where it's like focused like hookup culture, like ooh, spiritual stuff. I mean, I've kind of helped in that, but I just personally don't touch those. But everything else, like you name it, I'll be like, yeah, so-and-so did their offer and this is what it looks like. Here's the flow. What I found is like the way they structure and how to structure the economics is pretty repeatable. Like now in my head and how I think, there's a process where if you just tell me like, okay, here's the market, here's who it's for, here's the product we're trying to sell them, here's what we're trying to sell on the back end, it's very repeatable. We can talk about how I process that and come up with that. But I've found after doing so many, it is a simple process that you can replicate in every market and anyone can grow in that skill set. You definitely can.
For me, the biggest thing has always been familiarity with the people I'm talking to. Because, you know, I've mostly been a copywriter. I've done some marketing director work. I've built some strategy. I've done a little bit of offer architecture for myself as well. But I always felt a little uncomfortable, I guess you could say, in an industry or a niche I haven't written in before, because I don't feel like I understand those people so well. But is there a pattern, like all people have some sort of, you know, maybe thing that's in common that helps you to architect the funnel or the offers in a way that, you know that market's gonna be interested?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few questions I could ask somebody to get really clear on what it is that market wants and why they're going to take action. Obviously, I've realized after being in the game for almost 8 years now, the more you know the market, the more you're comfortable talking to that person. If you're actually that audience, it's way easier to put copy together and sell offers. And there's like a new level of conviction in your copy that shows and bleeds through, and people will just like buy into it. Like, you know, if I'm talking about low ticket offers, which I'm very passionate about, I can sit here and, you know, someone who believes in just book a call funnels, I can sit here and talk all day long and convert them to believing in a low ticket and, you know, doing all that change work just because I'm so bought into it and love it. Whereas recently I had stepped into an offer where it was a female market, helping interior designers. And it was more so in the creative space. So it's like two new things where it's like not just like biz op, it's like females. So it's like not just a male market, it's a whole new game. And so I was like, man, like, well, I sat down to write my copy, I felt like things were falling flat or it wasn't just like flowing. And I realized like I need to take that step back and do that market research, which I used to hear copy gurus and coaches tell me to do that. And I'm like, no, it's stupid. I'm not going to go on Amazon, read reviews, do all this stuff, like go through Reddit. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I realized like, no, like there's actually value in taking the time to do that. So there are some things in markets where, you know, if I ask the question, it makes sense. And the biggest thing for me is like, what outcomes do they want? And then what limitations do they have? And this is something that I've learned from mentor Alan Sultanich. I always say his name wrong. Actually, and it's outcomes and limitations, because someone buys something because they want something changed. They want a better opportunity. They want an outcome to a problem they have, right? Basic generic entrepreneur stuff. And everyone listening to this, like, yeah, I've heard this, but it's funny. We overcomplicate it. And then it's limitations. It's like there's things that have gotten in the way in the past or currently that are stopping them from getting the outcome they want. And your product, in a sense, should remove that. And so when I'm talking to an offer owner, I'm like, okay, what outcome does your audience want? What does that look like? What are the different outcomes? What are they looking for? And then I ask, okay, what limitations have they had in the past that stopped them from getting there? And then what limitations does your product remove? Which it can look different. Sometimes it's, limitations are usually time, money, understanding, or just like knowledge or capability, all of those things. So it's usually ties into that, or just location, economic, whatever. And so once I understand that, I can be like, oh, easy, done. But what's funny, and it's like, it's not funny, it's kind of sad, but a lot of people, when I ask them, like, what limitations does your product remove? They aren't sure, or it doesn't actually remove any. It's actually adding limitations. Like, we'll use BizOp, for example. Like, there's some people where it's like, yeah, I got this sick way to make money online, do this, whatever. Or, like, this person was doing, I think it was like pressure washing, clean BizOp, so not make money online. And they're like, why isn't this selling? And they go, why can't I get people to start this business opportunity? And why aren't they being bought into it? And we're looking at the outcomes and limitations. And I mean, when you look at the limitations of starting a pressure washing business, it's like these people are already working a job, maybe it's part-time or whatever. Then you have to go buy equipment. Then you have to find time to like go knock on doors or do the selling. Then you gotta be able to have a truck to pull up the equipment, do all the stuff. And I'm like, you gotta actually, when you look at your product, sometimes the product's the problem. And you can try to blame the VSL, you can try to blame the copy, but it's a product. And I think it's tough too on copywriters, people listening to this right now. As copywriters, we can get blamed for things that are totally out of our control. And so I've had to learn when to absolve responsibility and be like, no, like, this is a product issue and I can't fix that. I'm not here to make your product, I'm here to write your copy. And then it also forces, it forces me to, pick better products. And so I honestly think in this game, and like what I'm looking at, like the hardest challenge isn't even closing clients or finding clients. It's finding good products and good product owners and good product creators who actually have a good product. Because we all know, like, our best campaigns, the best clients we worked with, the best, launches we've done have been for products that are genuinely good, have great results. We know it. You can feel it. The creators bought into it. And that's one way. And I'll actually share like my secret, but my way of knowing if it's a good product. And this is like how I guarantee a launch is going to go well. I guarantee an offer is going to crush. It's never let me down. It's like this one indicator that shows me it. And what that is when I'm talking to the expert, the guru, the creator of this product, if when I talk to them, they're constantly reselling me on how good this product is, meaning they're always coming with new angles, and they're so bought into it where they can't stop talking about, oh, it's so good because of this, and coming up with counter arguments and cost arguments. And it's like every time I have a call with them, I'm getting resold and rehyped up. I'm like, okay, this person believes in their product. It's really good. It's going to crush, and there's actually merit to it. Whereas if they're just like, yeah, like, we have, we just do one coaching call a week and we give them support, and then it's guaranteed we got a claim, we'll money back. And it's like, that's all the only merit they're standing on with their product. Nah, dude, like, I'm out of there. There's no way. Like, there's not that conviction. And it's funny, I was just at my chiropractor before we had this call, and he does corrective chiropractic. And so his whole unique thing is traditional chiropractors, they will do the same 7 adjustments no matter where you have pain, which a lot of people don't know. They call it the flying 7. And so he went from working his parents' practice as a chiropractor, going through school, everything, to leaving it, which he would have been handed like $1 million practice. He left it to start doing corrective chiropractic, where he x-rays you, and that's custom adjustments for every patient that comes in. And so I remember he was selling me on this. I was in the sales process, this whole educational thing. And I was just like, I was sold. Like, this is so good, amazing counter argument, unique mechanism. It goes against, what other people are saying they should do. And every time I go in and talk to him, he's always reselling me on like why this is like one of the best, things to do, and why it's so healthy, and the problems with health, etc. And so I was like, dude, this guy, he's got a good product. He's bought into it. It's growing. His practice is growing. And so, yeah, that's how I find and identify a good product and know it's gonna crush off the bat.
I'm just taking notes over here. That's a lot and really valuable too, because I think about some of the offers I've worked on, and I think the ones that popped off, they were just completely convinced by. There were some offers like with a big business, because I've mostly worked with 8-figure companies, so they would sometimes launch products that are like not their best stuff, but they'd still get like hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, but it's not their main product, and you can tell the difference because it's like the main thing. They're like, oh yeah, it's got this, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and it does this and helps with this, and it's like, I'm sold, I'm sold. But then there's the other product that's like, oh well, this thing kind of helps people, and I'm really curious to know, because I've seen a lot of low ticket offers be things that someone throws together to just sort of like, let's throw this little thing together so that we can get people to buy the real thing. And it's like, that doesn't sound like they're very sold by their low ticket. And so like, how do you find that with the client? It's like, they just want to, maybe I'll put together a little ebook and then that's my low ticket, but that doesn't sound very convincing,
Yeah. I think I see that all the time. And it's so funny because business owners, copywriters, like all of us will put so much time and detail into our funnels and our webinars if we're doing it, or our emails and our launch and all the copy and the design. We'll put all this effort into the sales process, and we'll pay for coaches to review it and consultants. Like the other day I was I met with a dude who's helping with the podcast VSL we're doing, and I paid him to just go through it. I'm going through all this detail to make it just an amazing sales process and great sales copy. And we'll do all of that, and people will do all of that, yet when it comes to their actual product, they'll just rush something or take a bunch of bonuses or little clips in their YouTube channel or their high-ticket course and throw it together and try to sell it. And I think it's so backwards, because your front-end offer isn't actually a product, it's a hidden sales process. Like that's when I build my low-ticket offers, my front-end product isn't just a product. It's actually another sales mechanism. It's actually supposed to lead people to my back end offer, because if you talk to any sales team, they'll tell you if there's like a low ticket offer, or if a customer comes on the phone who's already consumed content from the creator or the guru or whatever, whether it's YouTube, free, paid, whatever, that person's way easier to close because they already know, like, and trust, they're educated, there's more intent, they're being pulled in instead of pushed in. And so it's a way better person to close. And so obviously when I saw that, I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to put a ton of focus into my product on the front end. Honestly, like, your front end product's your first impression. The first impressions set the tone for everything. It's like, you think about like good chess players, like their first move, like a lot of people are the best at chess. It's always like their first move. The first move that they do is what sets up the rest of the game. And so your low ticket offer is your first move. And so a lot of people are like, why is no one sending? Oh, I can't get my thing to convert. Oh my gosh, they're not qualified. They won't show up for the call. It's like, bro, you gave them like an awful first impression. It's like, you should be backwards. Instead of it being like, oh, this is kind of nice product, it should be like, oh my gosh, he gave me all of this for $27. I can't imagine what he's going to give me for $5,000. And so I remember when I launched an offer 2018, I think it was 2017. You guys can look at my Facebook profile and go find it, but it was called 5 Meetings a Week Challenge. And I was back in the agency space. Because I used to be an agency owner, and I'd have my info offers on the side. And I put together this challenge where I was like, I'm just going to help people like book 5 meetings a week. If they close 20%, I think that's like one client a week, something like that. It's like, that's good. So that's like the challenge. Yeah. And honestly, someone should bring an offer like that back. I've given it to a couple of agency gurus, and no one's done it. I'm just like, stop doing these outlandish claims. Just say like 5 meetings a week, you're gonna close 1 client. It's realistic, attainable. Anyways, great offer. So once you run it. But I did that as a low ticket challenge. And I remember I started getting these testimonials where people were saying, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe you gave it this away for $27, or this is the best $27 product, this is blah, 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 blah. And once I saw that, I was like, okay, this is my new measurement of success on my low ticket offers. Like, yes, I'm looking at return on ad spend, I'm looking at ascension rate, but ultimately, like, I want to prioritize getting those testimonials. Like, I want emails like that to come in where people are like, holy crap, I can't believe you're doing this much for, so little. And so, yeah, I think people rush it. They don't treat it as a sales process, and they aren't like tying in like hidden ascension strategies into their front end product, which will tee up the back end better. And also another last thing on this point too is I was talking to a guy, and he was meeting with this lady who was like a master in course consumption, online product consumption, and increasing that. And I thought the stat of like the average person like complete a course was like 10% or something, or digital product, but it's even lower. It's like 7% now. And then the people who actually get success from the product, meaning they accomplish a goal at or the promise that was made on the product, is even lower than 7%. And so people are like, it's sad because they always feel throwing out terrible products and they don't want to consume them, or they're expecting a terrible product. And so one of the ways to get an upper hand is just they log into the course and they see something like they've never seen before, and they're like, holy crap, this is amazing. And so it does take more work, it does take more love into the product, but it pays off eventually. It does.
Definitely seen that in my own practice as a coach, because over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been coaching copywriters, in a paid context, as well as, the free content that we're putting out here as well. But I was always focused on just helping the clients again and again and again. And it turned out that more than half of the business of my coaching practice has just come from referrals at this point, because everybody was so happy with, the actual experience of working with me, that we actually just in the beginning, we only grew with referral. And so like now that I turned on a bit of the taps, I guess you could say, with a bit of organic, it's been very explosive because of that, because everybody actually had all these crazy good things to say,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious though, like when you're looking at a low ticket product, obviously the sales process, the hidden sales process is a great part of building a low ticket product. But like what kind of wins, because you mentioned earlier, people have like outcomes and limitations. Do you create like a step-by-step, like, okay, people need to get this outcome that helps them get to the next outcome, that helps them get to the dream outcome. And then maybe like the low ticket is maybe helps them get through that very first outcome. Is that like some of the way you think about it?
Yes, I did a YouTube video on this once, and what I came up with and how I kind of acquaint it is there's macro transformations and then there's micro. And I'll choose between the two depending on the market or depending on what the back end offer is. And so I look at the back end offer, where we're trying to bring people, and then I work back to front in terms of like the upsell path and the steps we need to take there. So I start at the back and then I'll architect it out at the front. But there's macro and micro. And so, for example, a micro transformation would just be like a small win, a small achievement, one step forward to change or improving the situation that your consumer's in. To relate to the copy market, if you're listening, when you buy templates for copy or someone selling like a template pack, that's really just like a micro transformation where they're helping you transform and get one step further. It's not teaching the ins and outs of the copy, business and the deep psychology and everything. It's just giving like a step forward, and it gives you that a little bit of that momentum, which is great, and it works well in a lot of markets. And then there's some low ticket offers, which we've done where it's like macro, where it is like kind of revealing them to the A to Z process to like this big transformation. In fitness, I don't do as much before, but in fitness offers, you would do that. You would teach them the workouts, the nutrition, the mindset, and just kind of like all be in there, kind of get them aware of what they need to do. And then the back end would be accountability and support. But now we're realizing that people need micro transformations to get momentum. So we're just focused on like front end products being challenges, 7 or 14 days to just get them into momentum. And then we can introduce the macro transformation on the back end. And so obviously a macro transformation product on the front end creates a better first impression. You could do more education, people consume more of your stuff, which is great. But there are some markets where they will never consume that. Like if it's in the business, ops, operations, HR, like some of these more corporate structures, like it's going to be hard to get someone to sit down and consume a whole product and like teach them all this stuff. Whereas like if you can just give them a one micro transformation in just one part of their life or their business or wherever they're at, that will still build a relationship with them. It'll still open the door for you to sell more stuff, and they'll still be happy with what they purchased. So it just depends on what that back end offer is. Like another example too is, let's say your back end offer is let's say it's a coaching program. safe to do a coaching program. I've done this before. And on the front end, you're selling them like a process or templates or plug and play. And it's that kind of language where they're just able to just plug this in and get it to work. If you sell that kind of front end product, you're going to attract people who want tools. They want tools in their toolbox. They're not trying to learn how to learn or how to think. And so it'll actually cannibalize your back end because you're like, hey, here's this process, one size fits all, it's gonna be great. Used it, and on the back end, it's like, how are you gonna flip it? Where it's like, no, you need support. It's like, well, you said that, I just installed this and it works, you know? And so I did this on an offer by accident, and I was like, what's going on? Why is no one joining our back end mastermind? And I realized our language on the front end was wrong. And so I was about to challenge, do I change the front end or do I change the back end? And since the front end was converting so well, I decided to change the back end, and we developed a done-for-you solution because people looking for tools in a process are the type of people who don't want to think. They just want someone to do it for them.
Right.
And so when we put it done-for-you, it was way better. And so we just flipped that. And like, again, done-for-you, so you can even put software on the back end like we did. Like we had software. We just did a done-for-you element that was like just one small step in the process we're teaching on the front end that we were just going to do for them. All that stuff. So you got to think about too, like what type of person you're trying to attract to the back end. So on the front end, if I had a group coach on the front end, maybe I would want to give them so much and like maybe teach them like a macro so that when they come in, maybe they're confused and they're like, this is so great. I get it. I see what's possible, but I need someone to like walk with me through this. And so usually when someone's purchasing a done for you or even a group coaching program, they're actually just paying for you to think for them. And so, you know, like obviously like when I pay someone for consulting, like the other day I paid a guy to review my podcast, and I was paying him money so that I can conserve time and energy of thinking, and just he thinks for me, then I can that's really what I'm paying for. And so when I shifted my perspective of what done like with you coaching was to actually looking at it as done for you, like they're thinking for you, it allowed me to make a more appealing offer instead of it just being like you're getting calls and like it's like, no, what are the areas like I asked my experts and people I published this, I say, hey, on your current coaching calls, where are people asking you to think the most for them? What's the recurring thing? And then we find the top three. And then we make that the selling point for the coaching, where it's like, hey, these are the three areas we'll be thinking for you. These are the areas we'll be thinking for you. So it makes it a better offer. And then these people are like, oh my gosh, I see why I need this. And then everything else is a cherry on top. But it's like, oh, okay, cool. You have 50 calls a week. I remember in the group coaching got big. I was like this agency program. It's like a call every day. It's all this random stuff that's so confusing. I'm like, what am I doing here? It wasn't that sexy, but an offer. People, like if you go to people now, like in today's market, they're probably second or third time buyers. So they've been through a group coaching program. They're like done with doing all the calls. They like, because it didn't work for them. Otherwise they wouldn't be here. So you don't want to attach it. So it's like, yeah, still do the call, still have that. But when you're selling it, where are the areas you're going to think for them? Talk about, hey, here's where I'm going to think for you. Here's the environment in which I'm going to do it. And, you know, here's the other things on top of it. And so that's one thing that's important with done for you, done with you. It's the same. And you can position, easiest way to like revamp a done with you coaching program and the offer stack is simply by doing that. Just if anyone watching this, if you have a client, you're publishing somebody, they are doing active calls, just ask them, what is the recurring theme? Where are you thinking for people? What does that look like? And like I did a real estate one, and he was like, yeah, the thing we always are talking about is contracts. Like every call is always on contracts, you know, and helping formulate the contracts. So I was like, all right, cool. So instead of just making like group coaching, I'll coach with you. It's like, you know, they get to partner with the guy and he's actually going to help you, you know, give out the contracts or fill them out. And we're focusing on that being the selling point. And then people were like, oh yeah, like, I see why I need that, or see why I'm going to run into that problem. And so, I don't know, even if copy coaching things, like most people are probably wanting to think for them on their actual copy, reviewing their copy, giving them feedback on that. There may be some stuff with like getting clients, but like, you know, it's probably if you really look at it and analyze it, it might even just be like, hey, they want feedback on that. So then I would switch and like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Then on the front end, I'll get them the first outcome of like getting you clients. And it's like, oh shoot, we just led you to the next limitation, which is I gotta help you with your copy now. So you keep the client. And so see, so when you reframe it, that's how you make it a better ascension path. And it's not muddy. It's not like, why? Like, how is this different? Like, it's very, very different.
Right. So in the beginning, it's almost like, I guess in the past, it was do it yourself, do it with you, done for you. From what you're saying, it seems like, at least with the markets that have already bought a couple programs and they're struggling, it's more of a like free information online is me having to try to do it myself and think about it myself. But when I buy something, it's, we're doing a little bit of the thinking for you, and then moving to like done for you is like more of a premium back end. That's interesting. Yeah, think for you makes sense.
And some people, you don't even need to have the done for you. Like some people, they'll never have that.
Yeah,
like you can't do it all the time. And so it's fine. Be like, oh, you can reframe your done with you to look done for you. And it sounds a lot better because you're thinking for them. And when you just highlight it like that, like, it's way, way better, more irresistible.
So there's something I wanted to ask you, because after working with like 450 offers, it's a lot easier perhaps to talk to business owners about offers. But what about when you're a copywriter and you've just been writing copy and you've never really had that conversation of doing more for clients, and maybe the client isn't even aware that you can help them with some of this stuff? Like, what is the journey? What is the journey to go from being a copywriter to doing more for a business, like providing them this consultative, like how do you create that?
Yeah, it's actually really easy. How I did it is like, okay, so one thing I realized is business owners, gurus, experts, whoever you're working for as copy clients, they want what other people have all the time. And I know this because they'll come to you and they'll put on your plate, oh, so-and-so's doing this. Like, you think we should, like, they'll always do that. They're all, whenever your campaign's not working, they'll be like, well, so-and-so's, oh my, shut up.
This guy's doing it. This guy's doing it. Yeah. I always have that as well. Okay.
Oh, Imai Ghazi's doing recurring. I'm going to freaking do recurring. Oh, yeah, Alex Shimozi said in this one 30-second clip, it's like, but that's how they think. And so if you're like, oh, I want to move into not just being a copywriter, but to publish offers for people or have ownership in offers or become some people call it a growth partner, whatever. I call it publishing. You just show them examples. You flip it on them and you say, hey, man, here's what I was thinking. I saw so-and-so's doing this. Rumor is, like, I know the CMO over there. He told me they're doing like crazy numbers with this type of offer, this funnel. I think we could do the same thing. I know them. I already know all the economics. I know how it works. We can just duplicate it. Let me build this out. You don't have to pay me. Like, let me just build. I'll map everything out. Just give me a cut. Let's just go 50-50 on this. Or if they want to pay you, like I've done that too, where I've said, hey, like, let's do a low ticket. And then I just charged them. I think it was early on when I was doing them, and it was like $5,000. And I only signed them to do like writing Facebook posts for them and emails. And then within a week, I already upsold them to $5,000. And then it was like to optimize the funnel, I upsold them again. And then I turned this client and I became like their full CMO and stayed with them for like a year and a half on like a massive retainer. And so it's really easy. Just bring them an example. Hey, so-and-so's doing this. And then you just do it for them. And you don't have to do much selling. You're like borrowing or like leveraging authority. And again, they want what others have. And so it's a very easy pitch to your existing clients.
I love that, because a lot of the time I'm suggested to copywriters, like even in it's not quite the same, but when they're applying to gigs, I say to them, don't focus on the exact numbers that you've produced, because everybody uses that as a copywriter. Oh, I generated so-and-so a bazillion this, bazillion that. Focus on the business owners that you've worked with and their accomplishments, because that's who they're comparing themselves to. So the business owner's like, oh, damn, this copywriter's written for 4 businesses that are bigger than me. I want him on my team. Versus like, I've made $100,000. I don't care. I've made $1 billion. I've made $20 million. It doesn't mean anything. But I've worked with these 4 people who have 9-figure business. Okay, I want to know more. So I love, okay. Yeah, because I had a client for a while that was like constantly, like every time I pitched him something, he'd kind of like, be like, oh, that sounds cool. That sounds interesting. And it wasn't working. This was like back in 2019. I would pitch them and they like wouldn't listen to stuff. And then I was like, was it 2020? Anyway, it was somewhere back there. And I like know that there was one business owner that he was always like comparing himself to and the team. And so I was like, this guy's doing this thing. What do you think? Oh, Yeah, I was like,
good.
yeah, I didn't actually close them on any like offer creation, but I just remember like suddenly,
Yeah.
I
we'll
was
do it. Let's
suddenly
shift.
the angles I was using in my emails were like good now, because before
Yeah.
they were my ideas, but now it's like, no, I'm basing these angles and ideas on
Yeah.
this guy that's doing better than you. It's like, okay, good, that's a good idea, great idea, keep doing it.
Yeah,
So, okay,
exactly.
cool. So you literally just say that. You just like, hey, here's this competitor. They're running this thing. I know the economics. Potentially, I know the person. I want to help you with this. Can I take this and run with it and see what we can create here? And then they if they got a good relationship, then they're going to go for it.
Yep. Yeah. And then I think
I like
obviously the smarter play is to start practicing being okay with working on performance, is to just try to get them on that. And if they're like, I don't want to give away this much, then great. You just downsell them on getting a retainer or a contract or
just downsell them on a $5,000.
Yeah. Just take, all right, fine. Just give me the money up front. And then it's like, whatever. But a lot of copywriters, there's a lot of resistance to do percentage because, obviously we all want money now. Like, let's not deny it. It's you get that dopamine hit of that $2,000 contract, and you get to go take the screenshot, and you get to go post in the groups. Like, I've done it, I understand, but let me tell you, like I got real sick of only getting paid $2,000 to make my client $20,000, or getting paid $20,000, and then they were making over $100,000 the first 9 weeks from when I split. It's like you look at that and you're like, wait a second, so you're telling me like the only thing that was missing from this was the product. Like, I did everything else. Like, well, I could have had a cut in this. And so I understand that you want that money now, but if you can be okay with it, if you're already upselling a current client, you probably already have a retainer, so you're going to be fine. Go to the percentage, start practicing that, and then go to somebody and offer that percentage to somebody who has an existing audience. Because what I do and what I teach when we do offer publishing is there's like a fast launch, there's a medium, and a slow. And when we sign on a new client, they have an existing audience, which this is something we'll do for, I know before this call, we're talking about the celebrity that we're going to be publishing next year. We're going to do a fast launch within the first 15 to 30 days of working with this person. And then what it's going to do, it's going to inject cash into the company. It's going to then allow me to take 50% of that, so I got paid for my work. So I'm essentially getting paid as much as I would have paid if I was doing a retainer, or sometimes even more. And then the partner is like, okay, I trust this dude. So then when we go to build out even more products in the medium launch, which is more of an evergreen funnel to cold traffic or whatever else, they're down to create the stuff I want them to create. There's no like, is this all for nothing? And then the slow launch is like turning into like enterprise value and building an affiliate team. That's a whole other thing, which some people don't even get to that. And you can honestly build $1 million offer just on the medium launch and never get to the enterprise, and that's fine. Some people are okay with that. But anyways, if you can get to the percentage, that's the best. Because I did this for a client at a Facebook group of 8,000 people. I could have like easily been like, hey, just give me a retainer and I'll just write your copy and do that, and that would have been fine. But we set up a percentage deal. I think at the time it was like 30% on any cash I generated. And within the first 30 days of signing them on, we ran a Black Friday campaign. It was like this time last year. And we ran it Black Friday. I was like, hey, okay, I looked at what they have. Okay, you have these templates, you have this, here's the offer we're gonna do. It was like a contract template. It was like a Google Doc contract template for $47. And I think actually maybe it was 27. I think we raised later, but it was like one point is 47, one point is 27. And I just built out like a 5-day promo in their group for Black Friday, get this contract template, and that launch went on to do, it was like over 10,000 within that week. And so I got to get my cut of that. So I got my 30% of that. And so again, that's probably more than what I could have even gotten on a retainer already. But now we have this evergreen product that I turn ads onto that I can continue to get 30% for as long as our contract stays in place. So it's like, what would you got to do? It's like, I understand. I know some people are in tight spots. You have to hustle. You have to, pay rent. You need to get that contract in the door. I understand. I was even just, it was about 2 years ago before I got married. I was at zero again, and wedding coming up, couldn't even afford to pay for to connect the diamond to the band that I got from my girlfriend at the time. She's like, why haven't you proposed yet? What's going on? I was at Barnes & Noble stressing all day trying to figure out how I'm going to get clients and because I just all this stuff happened. And so I understand I had to go through like that hustle state and had to go get the person for 2,000, and I wasn't going to work for free. I understand that. But if you have any sense of sort of stability, meaning you're chilling, you won't be homeless, you won't be hungry, I don't think there's an excuse why you shouldn't then focus on longer term offers and potential with these partners. That's my perspective now. And after, again, getting paid $2,000 or $1,000 to make my clients 10 or 20, you just do it enough times where you're done. You're like, all right, I want a bigger piece of this. And it's like, I'd rather work with like one partner than 10 clients, just me personally. Like I didn't get into the business to be in Google Docs all day. Like right now, I love teaching and doing this, but reality, it's like, I'd love to be with my wife right now upstairs, like having breakfast and like sleeping in right now and doing that. And I hope in my life that one day where I got FU money where I'm doing that all the time. But gotta, like that's, you really think of what we wanted. It's like, there's obviously other reasons. And so I just rather structure my business so I can get to that point where I'm out of Google Docs and chilling with my wife and taking her to New York, which she just asked if we can do. So, that's the ultimate goal. And so that's why I like going the publishing route.
I like that. I think that there's a lot of entrepreneurial, like you gotta really be an entrepreneur to go that route, because you're delaying the gratification potentially for a long time. You're putting money, like instead of making the money now, you're saying, okay, I'm willing to make it there because I see a bigger picture. I think a lot of copywriters, at least today, that are getting into the industry that want to be copywriters, they're coming from like an employee context where they're
like, for sure.
Like I'm coming into this, I'm going to get another job. And it's like, I can't understand. And I mean, I've had a lot of people on this, this platform, like where I've been interviewing, and a lot of the copywriters that are making six figures, like even just doing copywriting without performance deals, they're all saying like, I hustled for 6 months and didn't get a client. Then I closed one. And it's like the same story. I did this for so long before I got results and I got the client. So, just to echo you for everyone listening, it's like, you're actually going to have to delay money anyway, either way. Like if you don't get a retainer like immediately, which is pretty much never going to happen, you're never going to get the retainer day one. Yeah. It's the same thing with performance deals. So it's no different. Maybe it's the next step. For me, I often tell a lot of copywriters, like, secure 1 or 2 deals to get the income going, and then you can go and maybe potentially explore options. So for you, like if you were starting again for today, you haven't done the work that you've done, you know what you know, but you didn't have all the connections and all the people. Like how would you start like right now?
Yeah. So, and I love what you said, just going back to that, and I'll hit on like my game plan, how I start over. But yeah, like you already are going to have to spend so long trying to get that first retainer. And let me tell you, it is so much easier to get someone to agree to something that's free than something that's paid. And so I don't think it would, like when someone's gone just off performance, I've never seen it take longer than 30 days for somebody to get a performance deal. Now, it doesn't always mean it doesn't always mean that performance partner is your best partner, because to be honest, looking back, your first partner is usually your worst partner, because you don't have like vetted. I have like these new like requirements for what makes a good partner. And so I was like, you can learn from somebody like me who knows that and can, walk you through, like, here's what to look for. But it's always going to be the case. But it doesn't mean like that person won't make you money or that opportunity won't work well. But I've never seen it take longer than that. Like when somebody hears about, like, I'll even on my YouTube talk about publishing. Hey, you should do publishing. And then I'm getting DMs where it's like, hey, I saw your YouTube video. Just reach out to a person and offer them to just create their whole thing. And they're like, yep, sounds good. And we're moving forward. And I'm like, holy crap. Because it's like, it's free, And so, and remember, you should be publishing someone who has an existing audience, an existing list. And so,
yes.
And then 15 days, you should, like, if you already know the right copy, everyone knows that if you're a copywriter, you know the right launches, and you should just create a simple product that your guru can create within 14 days. And you write the copy in those 14 days. So then 14 days, 2 weeks, you run a launch, your first launch, you're going to get cash in the door, and that's going to give you that little dopamine hit and the motivation to keep things going. So you don't have to delay it that long for either. But back to how I would start over. What I would do is I would, if I obviously know the right copy, I mean, these days, even if I did not write copy, I could just acquire that skill or use AI.
But let's just say you have the skills already.
Yeah,
right?
okay,
Let's say you have the skills.
Yeah, so I would go, I'm gonna give away my strategies. Okay, so I'll go to a group like Kajabi, Samcart, ThinkFic or whatever, School, wherever these software companies are promoting with VC money and Silicon Valley money to spend all this money at creators in a one place to use a platform. I would go to one of those groups and then I would say, hey, I'm looking to hire a coach in X market. So I'm looking to hire a female coach who works with women on their pelvic floor. Is there anyone here who does that? And I'm happy to pay you for a call or something like that, just to ask you some questions. So I would post that. Then there's be all these people like just posting. I mean, you go into mastermind.com Facebook group where Tony Robbins and Dean are selling all these people this idea of like doing their own mastermind, and these poor people don't have good marketing and they need people like us. Like there's a lot of great product owners or creators out there. They just need someone like us. So you can even go there. You're going to get all these people commenting. And then what you do is they're like, yeah, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. You go to their profile and then you just vet them. Okay, do they have any friends they have on Facebook? Do they have a YouTube channel? Okay, like have they sold any products? And you kind of look for that person and those indicators that they're further ahead. And then you'd reach out to them like, hey, I just have some questions like on this, or you can even frame like, hey, I'd love to pay you $100 just for like a quick 15-minute call, just to ask you some questions about this and whatever. You can even say like you're working on a project or you're thinking about getting into the space, or you're interviewing people, and then you can either just pay them like $50 to $100, or sometimes people just do it for free. And so I would do that, and I'd get on the call with them. I would ask them questions about their experience. So I'd use it as like a vetting call where I'm just like, hey, Matthew, like how long you write copy? Okay, how many clients you worked with? Like that's really cool. It's cool. Like what, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of gauge to see if they're actually good. And then if I liked them, everything felt good. On the call or even after the call, I'd be like, hey, loved our conversation. I've been consuming your content. I'm totally bought in. And I've actually been looking for someone just like you to partner with and to build out their entire offer, ads, everything for free in return for just a performance fee. Like, is this something that you'd be interested in? And that's how I do it. And then I'd be like, yep, cool. Then we get on another call. I'd make them the offer, and then we would go from there. And then that's how I would get them in the door. I mean, you can even just like reach out to people. There's something we've been working on and trying to put together to get out to people, which is like a tool that will just like source these creators. So you can just like look up, I want this creator, this many followers, and just like find them. But I think the best way is just to have an inbound rather than like cold emailing somebody. Just like go on Facebook groups and have people reach out to you. There's a lot of sleepers, a lot of people who are like low-key crushing it, and maybe you can't really tell. Like there's this dude, he's like, I had no idea. And I was talking to him, and I found he's doing like $800,000 a month with like low ticket in the health space, no supplements, no high ticket back end. And I was just like, holy crap, like $800,000 a month. And I had no idea, because there's like these sleepers. And so, you can get them to come to you and you'll see. And so that's how I would get my first deal. And then I would do a launch for them. So this. And then I would do exactly what I said. I'd do a slow launch or fast launch. Then I'd build something medium evergreen. And then if I saw it in potential, I would look like, how can we enterprise value this? How do we get affiliates in the door? How do we do organic? Which is an approach I like to, or how I like to get organic, which we could talk about later. But how do we do that? And then I would just like put it all together.
Interesting. Wow, I like that. Makes a lot of sense too, because you're going to get the right people if you go where the people are that hang out, that are like that market. I mean, essentially what you're doing is the same thing you would do when you do research for a niche that you're writing in. It's like, where do the people in that niche hang out? It's like, well, where do your clients hang out? They hang out in course communities. They hang out on these platforms. They hang out on school. I mean, school's a big thing as of the recording right now. I feel like a lot of people are on school right now. I jumped into school too, right?
Super. Like it'd be so easy to go to a creator right now and be like, hey, all these creators are doing memberships. Look at this person, Jason Duler, whatever his name is, Alex Mosey, all these people. Hey, what if I actually architect your whole membership, the structure of it, everything, run it. I'll write a launch to your audience. Let's do it. And it's funny, I found do you know Ryan Serhant? He's a Netflix real estate guru.
I do, actually. My friend is just sales director. Yeah, I know him.
Yes. So Ryan Serhant, he got published by a guy named Kyle Scott or something. His name's Kyle Scott. And he published him on the company Sell It, so SELLIT.com, which is Ryan Serhant's membership teaching real estate sales or sales in general. And I was looking at numbers, and they say they work 30,000 people in there at $24 a month. which I think equates to like 720,000-ish if I'm doing it right. So it's around there. Obviously, we don't know churn. We don't know this. But he published him, launched it his audience, and now they have this huge education company. They timed it perfectly with this new Netflix show. It was great. And it's blowing up. So it's like you could just say, hey, you know, Ryan Serhant, he's doing it, and you just leverage his thing and you're good to go. And obviously, like you need to set up the right contracts, and there's ways to do the money, and there's ways to build a team. There's all those things there, which that's
a lot of stuff there.
That's a lot of stuff added. But again, the process of getting the deal with the partner isn't hard. Like that's the part people overcomplicate. That's not it. It's like vetting the partner, building requirements with what makes a good partner. That's the stuff that you focus on mastering, and the rest, like everyone listening to this has the skills they need to do these kind of deals. Like you're just using what you already have right now and packaging it a little differently. That's it.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. I have one thing though with this that I'm really curious to know how you deal with, because I've had a couple of these performance deals go south. Okay, and I mean that's going to happen. But it's like this one was a bit of a surprise to me, okay? And I'm not actually sure how I could have handled this better. So I had a client, okay? I closed the deal. It was $4K a month. I closed them on email. And we actually agreed to go for $4K email because... sorry, just 1 second. Just cut out for a sec. Okay, yeah. I'll just start that sentence again. So, yeah, like I had this deal, okay? I had this retainer. I agreed to 4K on the condition that we would do performance as well, because I don't want to work for 4K. And I came in as a growth partner. I was like, look, I'm doing my own stuff. I've got clients already, but we're friends, we're buddies. Like, this is cool. I'm happy to run some stuff for your email. I know I can make a lot of money with this underutilized email list, and run some stuff and do some stuff that you're not doing with it. Let's set up like a revenue deal where it's like, if I hit this number for you guys, then we'll do a percentage, or like we'll do like, let's say $4,000 bonus if I hit this number. But they didn't have any of their tracking in place. And it's like, they said the tracking was in place, So like, I got the deal. We worked together for like 3 months. And like after 3 months, it's like, you guys have scaled a lot. I'm pretty sure that you hit the numbers, but the attribution's not telling me it's email. I'm like, so where's my money? It's annoying. Yeah. So it's like, how do you, with these like beginners, I mean, you mentioned like maybe some of these guys on these platforms, maybe not beginners, but like they're less experienced as marketers. You'd probably have to set up the tracking as well as part of the process, right? That's like on you to probably.
The more that they're dependent on you, the better. Like, I love that. I love when they don't know anything. It's like, bro, bet. Like, it's the best. Like, try to own it. Some people in their contracts, they'll write it so I own all the assets. Like, sometimes it's like, great. Like, I had one publishing partner, like, they didn't want to continue. It was more like they had family stuff come up, and we're not going to focus on scaling this anymore. And I was like, all right, that was out of left field. And so I just went to another expert and guru in their same niche, and I was like, hey, I own all these assets. It's already been validated. Do you want to be the new face? And like, yeah, let's talk. And so, like, you could just replace the face of the creator super easily and set up your contract so you own everything. So yeah, the more that they're dependent on you, the better. I don't like going into existing company structures that are corporate-y, or like just the process there is really complex. Like, I remember I had one of like Alex Ramos's largest portfolio companies. It's a biz op. I'm sure people know which one it is.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. They hit me up for a low ticket offer, and going through the whole process, like, it's crazy. It's so corporate-y, and there's so many people to talk to, and then there's this and there's that. And I was like, nah, like, you would want to publish somebody like that. Obviously, like, you'd want someone who's more dependent on you, and you're building out that structure, and you're like the main person. They're just a face. They just handle the product. You develop the skills and everything. And so, like, recently for a launch that I'm publishing an expert on, we wanted to do affiliates. And I was like, I've never done this. I don't know how to be an affiliate manager. No idea. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to grow in this. So I just like bought a course, like $297. Some dude had a course on it, had all the templates, went, build out an entire affiliate program. And we have over 70 affiliates so far. We have like 3 bigger influencers who are down to do it. And so, like, I went from like not knowing how to do affiliate stuff, but now I do. And so on all my other offers, I now know how to do this. And so as you grow into this role of doing publishing offers, like, you just stack on skill sets, or you just outsource. Like video editing, I'm not going to try to master that. I know the basic level, but I'm just going to pay my friend to do it. Or funnel design. Like, there's stuff I won't touch, but there are some things where I'm like, no, let me learn this just because it's a good skill to have, like the affiliate And so, yeah, you could just stack skills, and then who knows? Like, I'd love to start getting into like physical products for celebrities I'm working with, figure out the operations and distribution of that, partnering with different people to do that. I have friends who know how to do it, so I'm just learning from them. Like, how do I get enterprise value? Is it software? Is it SaaS? So I'm thinking like further ahead of like, well, I can just acquire a new skill set, just like I've acquired the understanding skill sets for copy or marketing. I can do the same thing for distribution and physical products. So who knows? So you really want to build like the whole ecosystem around this person. And if they want to bounce, then everything breaks. And so they're really like, they're attached, they're really attached to you.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking back to the client that I worked with. They weren't corporate. They were very flexible, but it didn't feel like they didn't have their marketing dialed in enough. And I think that's a good thing in this case. I could have just owned that. And like looking back now, while I was running their email, I could have set up the tracking myself the first month to validate, and not just trusted them to say we have tracking in place for it. That's probably what I could have done.
And
I
you just learn. It's like your first partner, it's always the worst one. You just learn, I should have done this. I'm like, I should have, like one person, I was like, I should have like made sure this person's actually good on camera and can freestyle. I don't have to script everything. So you just like, you learn new things in every deal you learn it. I feel like every deal that you take on, like it adds a new line in your contract for the next one. Like there's a new requirement. Like every deal, it's like there's always a new thing every single time.
That's very cool. That's a great perspective, because I've been very against the performance model for a very long time because of how many copywriters have come to me sad that their clients didn't pay them. But you bring a different perspective to it. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's really helpful, because you can do it if you have the right skills and if you learn the right skills.
Yeah, and there's like, I know most mindsets, mindset's kind of whatever, but like there is like not even mindset, but practical ways you can create boundaries as a copywriter so that you don't get stepped over. And it took me 8 years to get to the point where I feel solid in them. And like, we're talking about, I think before this call, like the first copywriter client I ever got, I won't drop his name. Just I think he's going to be an affiliate for one of our new offers. But I remember I was really bad at spelling. And he would just like flame me and just like roast me, or like I messed up and he's like, this sucks. And I'm like, it's just fine. It probably it's not that good. But like I would just get stepped over. And then I had like people, like there's a very well-known agency guru who had screwed me over, and we'd done a deal, and he's like, I'm gonna like refund it, or I'm gonna like blacklist you and blackmail you. And he's eventually come back and said he apologized, but it's like, it's whatever. And I've always really cool with copying stuff. Like I've had almost every scenario happen to me. So it took me a long time to realize it, but now it's like you can get to a certain point and you can learn these like lines, these sayings that like help you just create boundaries and remove yourself from responsibility, or and just make sure that you're not getting stepped on. So there's ways. It really just comes down like how you handle the conversations. Like there's pre-framing. Like there's stuff I say when I'm onboarding a client that can prevent them from wanting to leave me in the future. There's ways where like if my client wants to make a suggestion or a decision, like I'll just be like able to say like absolve myself from like, okay, you're choosing to do this, I'm not. So there's different things you have to learn over time so that you don't get stepped on, and so that you increase like your self-worth, that you're not like, I'm not good enough to say anything. It's like, no, that's just a story you're telling yourself, and there are ways you can get past that. But it took me 8 years to learn it myself, just through trial and error. But now it's able to kind of replicate that.
I think a lot of people listening to this don't have to take 8 years because they can lean on people.
Dude,
what would you say?
People,
What would you say is the fastest, or the thing that you did to grow the fastest that changed? Because it took you 8 years, but now if you had to do it again, how would you learn? Faster,
it was,
right?
It was learning mechanism, paying people for one-off calls. I think, didn't I pay you for a call at one point? I think I paid you for a call.
Some email consulting.
I paid you. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I'm not like, I would never claim to be an amazing copywriter email person. You're good at it. I'm just going to go to you. Hey, dude, $500,000 a call. Great. Answer a few questions. I'm moving ahead. Mm-hmm. Podcast. I need a review on guy who's expert at it. $500 for an hour. Cranked it out. Like that's my fastest way now is I'll go to people and be like, hey, just help me out. And so I love doing that. I've had people that for me, like those 450 offers I've done, like those are 400 plus people would come to me and paid for a 1 hour call and we're just doing it there. So it's like they're learning fast. So that's my favorite of learn fast. But I think things that accelerated it was understanding what do I want, and then what do I not want to be responsible for, or like what do I like not want to be like known for. Like I realized for a while I had this pressure from just other people who wanted to be a really good copywriter, really good funnel builder, designer, or salesperson. Like they wanted that, and they were teaching me how to be that, and then they were instilling this identity that subconsciously I didn't want, and so I was rejecting it, and so I would always like stall my growth because I would start pursuing what they're telling me to, and then I didn't actually want that, and then I would think I'm just not working hard enough, and in reality I just didn't want it. And so I think in the last 2 years I've gotten really clear on what I want to be known for, what identity do I want to have, and then what do I not want to be responsible for. Like there's a lot of business models I'd get sold into where I didn't really know the ins and out of it, but I saw the guru and their lifestyle they had. And so I would just be like, I want that. And then I would get into it. And it wasn't what I wanted. And I didn't want to be responsible for what they were doing. And then I would just cannibalize the whole thing and think, oh, I wasn't working hard enough or something like that. So that's probably like the most helpful thing to help me accelerate faster.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I like that. That's a different perspective, because for me, what I would do is I would get around the people that are making the money that I wanted to make from like a community side of things. It's like I had a couple of friends that were making $10,000 a month before I did. And then I had friends that were making like $50,000 a month before I did. And now I've got a couple of friends that are making, a couple million. Actually, my one friend made $1 million last month. So
yeah,
let's hope that works out. That'd be fun,
Yeah, but, that's so smart, like being around the people, because they have like optimism, and sometimes you just need to be around that person who's just like, it sounds like they're being really cocky, but it's just they have so much conviction where like you're talking to them and you just like, it like bleeds onto you where you're like, oh my gosh, like you kind of take on that belief. Like they're just like, I was talking to a dude the other day, and I was talking about ads were rough because of the election. I was wondering if they were, and making a joke about it. And then he was like swiped up. He's like, nah, dude. He's like, I'm spending $30,000 a day right now on ads. I'm profitable. Like that's just an excuse for bad ads. Like just write better ads. You got this. It's super easy. And he just had this conviction. And I'm like, oh shoot. Instead of being like, down in the dumps, I was like, oh, okay, if he could do it, I can do it. So yeah, I think being around people who just have like that conviction. Like when I talk about low ticket offers, I can sometimes come across as it can be cocky or like smug, but it's just like this sincere conviction of like, guys, if you just do what I'm saying, it will work. And I know because I've just done it so many times. So yeah, you want to be around people who just have done something so many times, because it just bleeds onto you and you're like, oh yeah, like I could do this too.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And the other thing is like you don't actually have the same fears anymore when you hang around the people that are where you want to be, because they're not afraid of the things that maybe are holding you back. Like a small one I can tell you from my life, like for some reason I was a little uncomfortable or nervous about like finances and like accounting and like submitting tax and like everything not copy and marketing and sales, because I'm a marketer, like I know marketing, but tax and all that stuff was a little bit of a world to me. So like I would get worried. What if I'm not compliant? What if I'm not doing this and that right? And like all the people that were making lots of money, they don't really think about that so much. They don't really think about these things. And I like eventually rubbed off on me. And it's like something in financial, I did have like a little financial hiccup with like a tax issue. And in the past, I would have been so stressed and so worried. It would have like eaten me up in the back of my mind for 2 weeks. And this time I was just like, whatever, it'll resolve itself. I know how this works. And I'll pay a couple people to help me out with, and sure enough, it was like resolved. And like, I'm so glad I didn't waste that bandwidth. But I know that 4 years ago, that thing would have been very stressful for me, And it's like probably the same thing with ad spend. Like if you're a copywriter the first time that you're building an offer, maybe now it's like, oh crap, I'm like, my client's about to spend money on the thing I just built. But it's like, if you have 5 friends and one of them is Josh, and he's like helped lots of people with, like offers and paying ads, you're not so concerned about it because you know the game. And so then it's like, I really like that. Josh, is really good stuff. These are like really good secrets. I think that everyone listening to this probably taken a lot of notes. I've got like 3 pages of notes. If people want to find you, where can they find you? Where can they learn from you?
Yeah, so you can just head over to Josh Gavin on Facebook. That's where I'm most active. We also have a community under the lowticketoffers.com domain, so you could just Google that. And then for all things publishing, we're working on getting these assets and the software I mentioned and the contracts and all that stuff shared out and putting something together there. So that'll be under the offerpublisher.com domain, which you guys can head to and check it out to be notified whenever that's done. So yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, that's amazing. I'll make sure to add the details to the description. Josh, thanks again so much for your time. I really appreciate this. I learned a lot, and chat with you soon.